Hello and welcome to day 9 on the high sugar diet. Now this is day 9 of a series where I'm using one of these, the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, a continuous glucose monitor. And I'm going to show you my blood glucose levels on the high sugar diet to lose weight and also as a positive health consequence, reverse type 2 diabetes through diet, and therefore you won't need to use drugs anymore like metformin, and you will no longer be type 2 diabetic, okay? Because if you are type 2 diabetic, and if you are, then by definition it is reversible because it's not type 1, and type 1 is not reversible. However, even if you're type 1 diabetic, the foods that I recommend, which are a high sugar diet, so that is foods that are low in fat, low in protein, okay? So this is a vegan, high sugar, performance, high energy lifestyle based on good health, okay? So good health. And you can go and check out the other videos in this series. So these sensors last about 2 weeks. So I'll be using it for 2 weeks, and it will be on my arm for 2 weeks. It's a little device like this, so it's that actual size there, and it's about a few millimeters thin. It's like a little coin, and on the back it has a little needle. Yeah, quite a nasty looking needle that goes into your skin, goes into your arm. It's about 6 or 7 millimeters long. It's quite long, and yeah, it's quite painful, but I'm doing this to be transparent, to show that the foods that I recommend, such as the ones that I'm going to show you now, will help you to lose weight. And I'm going to show you how lean I am on an unlimited amount of calories following these foods. So I eat to feel full. I don't count calories, I don't restrict calories. I love eating, and I love to live this lifestyle that I'm sharing, okay? So this is a lifestyle that not only will improve your health, like reversing type 2 diabetes, we obviously associate weight loss with increasing health, but not weight loss through starvation, okay? This is weight loss through eating. So you can go to other places, other channels, or people who are recommending you to starve yourself thin or lean. Whereas on this channel, I don't do that, okay? Because that is going to destroy your health, okay? So I'm going to show you my blood glucose levels graph here. So this is for day 9. I'm going to show you what I ate during the day and show that this is not a graph for someone who's diabetic. So I'm not type 2 diabetic, I'm not type 1 diabetic, and at the moment I weigh about 65, I was about 65 kilos this morning, at 5 feet 11, and hopefully you can see the lighting isn't great. I say this is a family friendly channel, but hopefully you can see that I'm lean, and I think this is a normal lean as well. So I'm not, you know, I'm still on a low protein, fairly low protein, I call it, normal low protein. I've still got muscle mass. I'm not thin like a piece of paper. If I turn sideways, I disappear. You can still see there's something to me, but no, I don't look like some of the crazy physiques that you see online where you can see all of the, you know, like people, they take diuretics, for example, to make them look even more shredded. If they remove water weight, you can see all the muscle definition and the veins. And so I don't recommend taking drugs such as anabolics like testosterone or other drugs to make your body look more like what you see on social media. I promote a sustainable lifestyle, okay? Sustainable. So if you eat like this, if you start eating like this and you're inspired, okay? I hope I'm inspiring people. You'll be able to eat like this for years, and if you go back to perhaps you've been living this, which is the standard American diet, which is high in fat and high in protein, and I've got heart disease there because that's the most common chronic disease in the West, which is what most people suffer from, chronic diseases. And then also one of the other major ones is diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which is on the rise. Whereas I promote this, a low fat, a low protein, and high sugar, so high carbohydrate, high sugar diet, or sugar diet, okay? So I don't promote the table sugar diet, which is what this white stuff is here, okay? Because if you just literally live on white table sugar for more than a few weeks, you'll go crazy, firstly. But yeah, you would lose weight, but you won't be getting all of the nutrients that you need. You'll literally be eating a lot of one macronutrient, and yes, you won't get the fats that you need, even though a small amount is all you need. Small amount of protein is all you need. And yeah, you won't get all the range of all the nutrients that you need, all the minerals and vitamins, okay? So, I'll show you what I had today for day 9. So just to explain the graph here. So, this is the graph that you get when you link it up to the CGM here. So it links up with your phone, the app, and it measures it live, but it also leaves behind a graph that you can look at, and you can see that this is from midnight through to midnight for day 9, for a 24-hour period, and my blood glucose levels are not elevated and continuously elevated during the day. So if I was to be type 2 diabetic, you would expect a chronically elevated levels of blood glucose levels, which, as you can see, they're not. And yes, I have these what might be described as spikes, which are not bad for your health. So just to explain the difference between blood glucose spikes and fasting levels of blood glucose. So what you want to look for is lower. So if you're already type 2 diabetic, or you're worried, you're pre-diabetic maybe, then it's about obviously lowering your fasting glucose levels. So after you've eaten and the hours after you've eaten. So for example, when I ate here, so this inverted commas first spike, you can see my blood glucose levels went up and then they came down, almost seemingly as fast, but yeah, they came back down and didn't remain high for hours afterwards. So this was my sleep here. So my fasting glucose levels here for, I don't think I ate for over 12 hours from the last thing I ate on day 8 to my breakfast on day 9, which is, and I'll show you that right now. And so this is my fasting blood glucose levels during the night while I'm not eating, while I'm sleeping. So while I'm sleeping, I'm not eating. So if your blood glucose levels, yeah, if they're remaining high, then this is pre-diabetes, depending on how high and for how long they stay up, then you're diabetic, okay? So you can see here's the normal range. It's in the greener box there, but generally somewhere between 3.5 millimoles to about 9 or 10. And yeah, I stayed within this range on unlimited amounts of high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein food throughout the day. So I wasn't counting calories, I was just eating and enjoying eating to feel full. So this here, this first increase in blood glucose levels, okay, this was from a bowl. So this is what this means. This is what this represents, was a big bowl of white rice, okay? and I've got a little scale here, and I might measure it out, and it would probably be in the region of when I'm having my cooked white rice. So the bag there, I might have it with some, so this is what I had in the morning. I had it with some soy sauce, the less salt one. And I might also have that with some other sauces, like I've got some sweet chili sauce here. And so I just, because I've been eating this way for a while, I know generally now how much I can eat and how much I need to eat to feel full. And then obviously I don't eat too much in terms of wasting it. Maybe if I make too much, and usually I might reheat it if I've eaten too much. But yeah, it's easier getting in the routine of making as much as you need to eat to feel full. So that was probably in the region of 600-700 grams of cooked white rice with some soy sauce and sweet chili just to taste, to add a nice bit of taste to it. Not pouring hundreds of milliliters. I'm not pouring hundreds of milliliters of soy sauce on. So I'm not using this whole bottle here, whole glass vase of it, or whole glass vial of it. Just to make it taste nice. And again, the sauces, they're quite powerful, so you don't want to put too much on because that just won't taste very nice. So then I let that digest, and then I did about a 2.5 or so. It's about 2.5 hours bike ride. So this is the next few hours here. So I just let my body take that in, and then a few hours later I did about 2.5 hour bike ride. So you can see the blood glucose levels again are being maintained, and I averaged, because I recommend having, despite how hard or easy your bike ride is, I always recommend at least 100 grams of sugar while I recommend cycling. Cycling is great for weight loss, but it's also just the greatest form of exercise because it's fun, it puts a smile on your face, and it gives you freedom and adventure. And also I like being able to measure my fitness and being able to look at my fitness very easily when I use a power meter. So this measures the efforts that I'm doing, and therefore I can see how fit I am compared to how much power it feels like. So for example, if 200 watts feels easy, I'm doing pretty good. And if 500 watts feels easy, then I'm on the levels of being a professional. But anyway, so I had about 2 of these 750ml bottles. It was quite warm, so high teens, 18 degrees or so I think it was. So yeah, needed fluids. So 2 750s for about 2.5 hours at 18 degrees or so I think it was. Is probably, I would recommend that would be fine. And I say I had that with, literally I made this up with white table sugar. So this is white table sugar here. Okay, so this isn't poisoning your body and making you sick, as some may lead you to believe. But it's not making you fat. Okay, sugar doesn't make you fat. The great thing about sugar is it's fat free. Yes, so the fat you eat not only is the fat that you wear on your hips or your tummy, for example, it's also making you diabetic through excess dietary fat. So excess dietary fat, it stops insulin working properly, and therefore it stops the process by which sugar is taken into the cell, and therefore when you're eating sugar like this, insulin, if it was working properly and not paralyzed by excess dietary fat, then sugar remains high, and you see that that's the consequence of having a high fat diet. So even if you are cutting out the sugar but you're still keeping fat intake high, or you might increase your fat intake once you take out sugar. If you do a test like a glucose oral tolerance test, where you make up a solution of sugar water, and you test the blood glucose levels in the hours following, you'll still be diabetic, okay, because your insulin is not working properly. Yeah. So if you do the tests and you show the evidence, like I'm showing here, then you'll be able to see. That's why I'm being transparent about what I recommend, because obviously I don't want to hurt people, and I care about that. Then obviously I'm not going to recommend something that firstly would harm myself, and therefore I wouldn't recommend something that harms other people. So another thing that I had was these vegan gummy sweets here. So again, these are high in sugar, low in fat, and low in protein, because they're just blobs of sugar, nice gummy blobs of sugar. And I might supplement again the sugar water with some gummy sweets, and I would also recommend, just as a little snack during the day, vegan gummy sweets like that. So that's what I had for the breakfast and my ride. So that was what this period here was. So this was after breakfast and then during my ride. And then in the afternoon, when I got back, and I had, so it was about 2.5 hours, so breakfast and then fly. And then flies love sugar, you know, in the summer. That's what they're looking for when they're flying around you and you've got sugary drink. That's what they're looking for. There you go. So then, so yeah, that was my sleep, then breakfast, then my ride, sort of going up and down, but yeah, my body's regulating my blood glucose levels. And then you can see this sort of second larger spike. So this was what I had. This was a consequence of my blood glucose level after I had my second bowl of white rice, and this time I had it with some spicy tomato sauce. So that's what that represents. So I make up some spicy tomato sauce, and so if you make it yourself, you can control what goes into it, so you don't get all of these oils. So I don't recommend oil when you're cooking. So like when you're cooking white rice, so I don't recommend using oil. And also when you're making your sauce, you don't need to add oil. So I make it with a selection of these spices there. Hopefully you can see them. Let me drop in them. And yeah, I can control to taste. And I'll add some salt and sugar as well for taste. Yeah, got a bit of salt, bit of sugar. And I've got that might say bread, but this is actually full of white rice. You can see there, uncooked white rice, obviously. And so use a little funnel to pour the sugar in the bottles. And that's what that second increase there was there. And then after that, I would just have some snacks. And during the day as well, I might have got some fruit here, for example, just as a snack during the day. But essentially the main staples are, one of the main staples is white rice. So I recommend white rice as a staple because it digests amazing. It's full of sugars in the form of starches, and it's got the fats that you need, like the omega fats, for example. And so it's not fat free. It's got the fats that you need that are good for you. And it's got protein, so rice is a very lean source of protein, so that's good. And yeah, there's no animal products, it's just vegan or plant-based, if you want to call it that. And yeah, low in fat, low in protein, and that means that I didn't have elevated blood glucose levels during the day. So I hope you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed how simple it is to eat healthy. And this is just a small selection of just what I had on this day. And other days I had other foods, so you'll be able to check that out, see what else I had. and you'll be able to see what I recommend to eat for being lean for cycling. And yeah, if you live this lifestyle, combination of the low fat, high performance, high sugar diet with cycling, yes, you'll get lean, very lean. Some people might say, oh, you're too lean. Well, most people are too over fat, okay, and that has the negative health consequences of being over fat. But if you want to be lean and have the flies buzzing around you, see, it's looking for sugar. Then, yeah, if you want to be lean and improve your health and improve your life quality, it's simple. Okay, so like and subscribe. So I've got some leftover white rice there, and I'm going to go and have some white rice now. And I'm probably going to enjoy it with some spicy herbs and spices with my tomato sauce. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao. See, I'm lean on sugar.